Now, since we all have since we've all done the brought in our email and our password into this application, now I think it's time we start writing the codes. So now, first of all, I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to put this in this place. So all right, are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, now, so one thing that I just want to do is that whenever users input the email or their password, right, they should have like, there should be an error message. No, it's not error message. It's not error. There should be a success message, right, on the screen. Now, I just found out now that I did not include that success message, what's the name, field on what's the name, on no, on my HTML. So there's no input. You did not input. Okay. So one thing that we can do is that we can just do so whenever you sign up, right, it should take you to your login page. So instead of putting success message and all of those things, it should just automatically take you to the login page to input the username and then the password. You understand it now? Sorry, that email and password. Now those two things. So for it to do that, first of all, we need to create our now the functionality is 60% done, 70% or 80%. All you have to do is what? Create that logic that automatically takes that user input, validates it on Firebase, and then after it has been validated that this user has been created, it should take you to where? To what's the name? To the login page. You understand? So for us to do that, first of all, we need to make sure that we use this particular sign up button. Now, one thing that we can do is that we can add this particular sign up button, and we can say sign up button dot what? Add event listener. You understand? Sign up button. So whenever this sign up button is clicked, certain things have to happen. Do you understand it now? So automatically, I can now say, so automatically I can say sign up btn dot add event listener. So we can have what? Add event. I don't know why it is not okay. Aside me. Now, what are we listening for? Click events, right? So click. So that's how we used to have issues. So I'll just do it like this now. I'll have issues. So it should be click events, right? Then we're going to listen for what? For a function, right? And this function is where all of these things should go into. You understand? Because whenever we listen for the function for that click event, what should happen? Every single thing in this place should happen. You understand? That is how it works. But first of all, one thing I do not want is that whenever you click on that button, let me just show you what I'm trying to say. Whenever I go ahead and click on this button now, what happens? So you just check it out. So what happens? Let me just write something, and I'll write something here also. So if I click on sign up now, what's going to happen at gmail.com? So let us sign up. Check. What happens? It refreshed, right? Now, the thing about refreshing is that one thing about your button is that when it refreshes your page, what happens? It does not wait for your request to be sent to Firebase first. In some cases, it can actually be sent because sometimes your Firebase request might be faster. But sometimes your refresh in your browser might be faster. So when it is faster, that means the request doesn't actually get sent to Firebase. What you need to do is that you need to disable that automatic refresh and make sure that the only time that refresh works is when you actually want it to work. That is when Firebase gets the data. So that's when it's going to take you to login.html. You understand? So we don't want it to refresh. We want it to send that particular message to Firebase and then take us straight to where? Login.html. You understand? So for us to do that, you need to use this particular value that says what? E.prevent. So now we'll give the pass an event parameter here, and then we're going to say what? E.prevent prevent default. Now, this prevent default is going to prevent your application from what? From automatically refreshing. Now, for it to happen, so if I come right here now and we check this here. Now, I'm just going to, let me just input something. dd@gmail.com. Then let us come here and then we'll sign up. Now, as you can, okay, there's a mistake here. And the mistake is that we've not connected firebase config.js to our HTML. So I'll sign up. Yeah. Yeah. So in your function, do you know what parameters are? So your E is your event parameter. In case something happens, you do not want something to, no, event. It's an event. So you can easily pass an event parameter here. I can say event, right? And I can come, yes, and I can say event dot what? Prevent default. But instead of using event, you can just say what? E. You understand? Good. So now I can easily write my script now, and in my script, I'm going to include the source to be what? Firebase config.js. Now, if you go ahead and you try it out now, it is not going to work. So let us just try something out. So if I press this and then I put this. So now, if we agree and we click on sign up, hold up. There's something that is wrong here. Let me inspect and let me check my. Just a moment. I have that's not an issue. So syntax error, cannot use import statement outside a module. One, cannot use import statement outside the module. Cannot use import statement outside the module. How is this an error? Not supposed to give me any error. Cannot use import statement outside the module. Doesn't make any sense. So let's debug together. You have left the debugging to me. So it's saying cannot use import statements, and it's telling me that the issue is on line 1. How is that possible? That's what I don't understand. Okay. So I'm going to refresh again. Let's check it out. So signup.html not found. What's wrong? Okay, let's try it again. So there is actually an issue here that I don't understand why we are having. Okay, you know what? Let me wrap this up in an if statement. Let's see. Control X. If sign up btn is true, I'm gonna have this. Now let us check it out and let's see. But I don't think we actually need that since we are clicking. And let us try it out and let's see what we have. So let's see all then come in. Let me check this bit. I think it's already storing my users. Refresh it. Sorry. It was wrong. It's saying not found. Password not found. I'm not using let me check this list. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to create user with email and password, right? So if you are creating user with email and password, then type. Sorry, type of module. Now it should work. Yeah. I'm supposed to like add that type of module there. So now let us try it out. It should work. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So let me refresh it now. The error should now it's no longer giving me the error. All right, good. So let's continue. So now if we try it out now, we should have this and let's go. So yeah. So I'm going to so sign up. Now, as you can see, it is no longer refreshing because I did that what e.prevent default. You understand? So automatically it is no longer refreshing. Now, let's now try and say in this place, let me just go ahead and say console.log user. Console, let me print out the user credentials. So if I say console.log user, so you see what I'm trying to say. So if you come here now and you refresh, so let's check here. You should have some user details. Yeah? After the user credential. Now, why am I putting console? I want to print out the user details to the console so that you can see what we have. Now, first of all, let us check Firebase and see if it has added any user here. So if it has added any user, we should see. I doubt it's not going to add users yet. So it's not adding users yet because we've not actually passed the functionality for it to add users. Now, how are we going to do that? So for us to do that, first of all, right, we need to know that we are passing out many things. Two things. The first thing is the what? The email. Second thing is the what? The password, right? And if you are passing the email and the password, what are the two things that you need to put in mind? Yeah. No, the email and the password. You need to put two things in mind. If the users are inputting their password, you need to put two things in mind. Yeah, sorry, one thing rather. I'm listening to the question again. If a user wants to write something now, write their email or password, something has to be considered, which is what? Yeah. No, something is very, very. They are input. They are value. That's what you need. So if a user, do you understand? If a user is trying to like input their password or their email, what exactly do you need from them to create that login functionality or the sign up functionality? Their value. So polyvites@gmail.com is a what? Is a value. Password SSSSSS is a what? Is a value. So what you need exactly is what? Is the value. So in this place, what you are going to use here is what? Dot what? Value. Right? And in this is also what? Dot what? Value. Now I'm going to make this what's the name? I'm going to make this what's it? Local and not global. Why? Because I just want it to be, although actually you can make it global. Why can we make it global? We can make it global because we're also going to use it for what? For login. Right? So instead of having to, let's just, it's only going to be for those two functions, right? So let's just leave it local. So if you're doing for logins, we also make it for local. Because, well, since we're not going to be having any more thing on this app, because now in applications like this, right, you might want to have multiple functions. So you don't want to really clash a lot. So you can just make it local. But since it's just going to be those two things, if you want to go ahead and add some other functions, for instance, set password as another functionality, you can go ahead and make it local so that it doesn't clash. All right, let's use it as global then. So now, right here now, we have global, right? So now the email and the password that is here are what? The values of the email and the password. Do you understand it now? So now we've gotten what? This particular user. Now, we need to like go ahead and do something else. Now, in this case, what do we want to do? we want to create a particular object. So I'm just going to come back here and I'm going to check out. All right, so we're going to create an object in this place. So I'm going to remove this. We don't need this, or we'll need it later. We'll need it later. Now we're going to create an object. This object is going to display the user details. You understand? Now, or what do I mean by the user details? So, for instance, sorry, this object is going to take in the user details. So now, for instance, now in this place, right, we have the user, isn't it? And we have the user credential. You have the user credential as user that is getting the details of the user, right? But we need to have a place whereby we're going to store it, isn't it? So for us to be able to store it, we need to also create a particular user data. I hope it's making sense. Now, when I say user data, we're talking about a particular object where all of these things will be stored. Now, that is exactly what the user data is. So we're going to come here and create an object that says const. You're going to have what user data. You understand? Then equals to your curly braces. Now, the first thing that you need to get is that you need to get the ID of the user. Why are we getting the ID? Now, in programming, right, because something ID means what? In your normal HTML. What does ID mean? No, not really another name. But yes, it is another name. But what is the major? When I was explaining ID and classes, what does ID mean? Good. So that means ID, identity. You're talking about identity, your national identity card. That means what? That's your own identity. So each user should have an ID, something to differentiate it from other users. Is it clear? That is why you need to give every single user an ID. I hope it's clear to you. Yeah. Again, each user should have a separate ID from the other users. You understand? That's why we need to give each of those users a particular ID. Now, for us to do that, we'll go ahead and then we're going to create a UID, right? That's a user ID, right? And then we're going to set this particular ID to this user that is here, dot the user ID. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say user dot UID. So that's the first one. The second thing that we're going to do is that in the user data, how many things do you want to have? You want to have 3 things. First is what is the ID. What is the second thing? The email. Third thing is what? The password. But now I'm not going to get the password, and I'm going to explain why later. So we're going to have the email, and in this email, we're going to have user dot email. Is it clear to you? Sorry, email. Is it clear to everybody? Is it clear to everybody? Everybody is looking at me like, What do you say? No, it's IL. Before we even get this user data set, we don't need this user data yet. This user data, we use it for do we need it? Do we not need it? Do we need it? I'm trying to check something out. Okay, you know what? Let's leave it. Let's leave it. So now let us now try something else. So I can now say console.log. So we can now have user data. You understand? Now let us check it out. If I go ahead and let's refresh this app. So if I go ahead and so let us write for Levites84 at gmail.com. And then let me write this also, my password, right? Now let us agree with privacy and policy and let us sign up. Now if I sign up, why is it still giving me a bad request? It's giving me 404 bad request. Why? There's a lot of things wrong with my So I want to refresh it here. It's not even working in this place. Okay. Just a moment. 400 bad request. Why is it giving me a bad request? So that everybody is. So why are you sleeping? Is it really getting tough or what? Okay, let me check my code again. So what do we have? So I'm getting the user. Then we're going to get the user credential, right? And then I think I understand what's wrong now. We need to also set the document. Let me check here. Hmm? To the array. No. Why are you putting it in an array? What you need to do is that array that you're talking about, right, is this place. Let me show you. Let me just show you. That array that you're talking about is this place, right? Now, you know that I told you that in your API, you have an array that has a lot of objects inside of it. It's just the same thing. Now, in this case, you cannot have a lot of objects inside of it. Now, one thing that I do not understand is why this thing is giving me. You know what? Let me just scroll down and let me check this place. So sign in with email and passwords. All right, you know what? We've gotten the authentication, right? This is basically the authentication. Now, one thing that is going to hinder us is trying to like now save it on the database. I hope everybody is following me. So now, what am I saying? What I'm saying is that it's giving me a bad request, basically simply because we've not actually stored the user data on where? On the database. So what are we going to do now? We are going to go ahead and try and store this particular user data on this database. First of all, I feel like it should be working even without this. But let's just try and make it work this way. All right. So I'm going to come again with what I've just explained. So what did I just explain? I said, you know what? Let's make this local first. And let us try it again. No, this is not. It's not important. Exactly. So it works. So as you can see, you have the what user ID, right? You see that I just generated a particular ID for me. Then that's what my email, right? And then my user ID. Do you understand? Now let us try and sign up another person. So you see what I'm saying. If I remove this one and I click on sign up. Now, if you notice, the ID on this one is different from what? This one. Why? Because it is unique. Now, if I come here now and check it out. So let's come here and check it out. So you see why it is important to make it local. Just because I may make it global, that was why I was having this issue. Now, if you check here now, you should see you have what the user ID of this, and then you should have what user ID. Now you have two different users. I hope it's clear to everybody. Now, if you notice, I did not call my password here. And why did I not call my password here? That's another discussion that I'll have with you before the end of the class. But first of all, I did not include my password here simply because of one thing. Who can guess? Privacy, security. That is why I did not include my password here. It was. Wait, you asked. Privacy. Now, one thing about passwords. Now, I'll explain how Firebase automatically do their password storage for you. Now, one thing about passwords is that you are not expected to have your user's password in your database. Simply because of one thing. Your database can actually be hacked. So, yes, you might actually have a lot of security measures and all, but you might slip up one day and then you do not take the necessary precautions. Somebody gets access to your database and they hack it. Now, if they can hack it, what if you now store your user's password on your database. Now, some users are very, 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 very loose that they will use the same password they use on your own app and another app. So their Instagram, their Facebook, their Twitter, everything is the same thing. That's okay. Okay, that's how it is. So now, even if you are doing it like that, now you don't have some just a random website. You don't know the website before. You not still put the same password that you use on that same website again. You can easily get hacked like that. That's security measures. Now, imagine that somebody now hacked that database. They now saw your own password on that one. Hackers are very smart. They will now say, okay, this person I put it, I will try this password and this same email on your Instagram or your Twitter or in fact your bank account or your bank app. Oh yeah, I've changed it. But that's the thing. So one thing that you cannot have is that you cannot have your password on your database. Now, Firebase now handles this password by taking in this password. Now, I'm inputting the password, but they hash that password. Now, what is hashing? Hashing is basically taking a particular. Have you heard of hashing before? Have you heard of encryption before? All right. Well, hashing and encryption are two different things. So when we talk about hashing, right? So let me use Google definition for you. I don't want to use my. So let's talk about hashing. What does hashing mean? Now, let us read it. So see, hashing is the process of converting an input of any size into a fixed length string of characters called a hash, using a mathematical algorithm called a hash function. Now, let me just explain it. If I say my password is Paul and I put Paul, hashing means that it converts that Paul into a series of fixed length of string characters. Now, my password is not Paul. If I add that Paul, it can change that Paul to 16 characters. It can give me like XYZ, SP, it just mean like different characters. But what has it done? It has changed it to a string and hashed it. Meaning that even if they hack it, they will not know that my password is Paul. Right? But one thing about hashing is that if I now want to log in and put in Paul, what happens is that automatically, because that string is made for a particular password, it automatically I'm trying to put this Paul. What am I saying? If I hash it and it gives me A to Z as my hashing character, what just happens is that if I now try to log in and I put in Paul, it automatically reads that hashing to A to Z, because that particular hashing key is made for Paul. You understand it now? That is basically how passwords are being stored. Now, if you are going to create all of this authentication yourself, you will have to hash every user's password. So you will create a logic that hashes every user's password, or else your users are prone to to hacking or to that is why it is very, very important for you to understand all of these security measures. You do not store your password. You do not store your password on your database. Never store your user's password on the database. Because if you do so, you are setting up your. Imagine that you are working on a bank application, right? Now, you working on a bank application, you are the owner. You're not senior. You are First Bank. You're the owner of First Bank. You are the developer. They say you should work on it. You now stored user's password on the back end. First Bank now got hacked. User details got leaked. They now wiped over 15 million naira in one day. Who will they owe? Okay. You know who will pay? You understand how easy it is for every single password is hashed, except for sites that are they will not hash anything though. That's what you would think actually. Your Google might be, yes, just a moment, your Google might be hashed. right? But still, there are certain sites where you were like, so for instance, now, they're not hacking your Google. They can probably hack your Chrome manager. So on your Chrome manager now, you probably save your password on Chrome, right? Somebody can hack your Chrome. Okay. Somebody can ask it in the sense that, okay, for instance, now, don't you go to search whereby they just automatically redirect you through ads? Yes. Good. If you have been redirected on ad and they redirect you to a torrent website, what happens? Anything can get leaked. You don't understand. Your password, is it safe on Chrome? Yes or no? Good. On Chrome, that it is safe. On Google Chrome. On Google Chrome, is it saved on Google Chrome? No, now I'm not. It's not saved on Google. No, let me show you what I'm trying to say. You see, on Chrome now, can I see passwords? That means I have some passwords saved here. Yes. If you try to like log in into a place that you've logged in before, does it automatically show you the former password that you pressed? Yes. That means it's safe. You understand it now? So that is just show. Now you might be safe, right? You might be safe. Actually, Google tries their best to protect you. They like even fingerprints can be compromised. It is biometrics, it can be compromised. But that's even easier. Anybody, one thing, not everybody can do like you. One thing is that just a moment, they call those things biometrics, right? Now, when somebody is looking at your eyeball, they are scanning your eyes on somewhere. Once they can scan your eyes, your retina, right? They can easily scan the data there. Bam. Once they scan, they can use it anywhere. Your fingerprint is also what biometrics. Now, those things are high level hacking. Some people are very good at scanning. Some people, what they just do is just tape your hand. If you press it somewhere, or okay, let's say you press it. Not even that is moving. Not even that. Not even that. Not even that. That's all. The thing is that those movies are not. Some movies are not real. Those acting things are not real. Some of them. So okay. So just listen, please. As I'm saying, that sometimes that if you put your fingerprint, let's say you are on a torrent website, you now say like sign in to continue. You don't know it. Those some of those you don't know. So you feel like it is legit. They're not legit. Some of now you did a airdrop, Abby. Very good. Sometimes those things you know that they're legit. Sometimes they will tell you put your fingerprint, put your face ID. Those things are very dangerous. They can get your data from there, scan it and attack you. So the purpose of my talk, I don't want to say pep talk, is that do not store your user's password in your application. Make sure that whatever input is coming into your now, if you want to read on hashing, how to hash yourself, I can send you details and all of this. But it's not hard. That so you can understand how hashing works. It's very rare. But the one thing about Firebase, you need to go through hashing yourself. Firebase will hash that password for you. You don't even need to take the input like I did. I did not take the password input. That no. I just got the password. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. I did not take in the password input in the digital detail. No. I just had to get it in my create user with email and password and then pass this particular parameter there. That's all I have to do. You understand it now? So that is basically all you need. You have a question? That is instead of get our password, get series of codes that you don't understand. And now, since this app, there's the ask we have a series of code. That means if they take this hash from this app, this like you have let's say
Then the company like take the person and they take the hash.
What are they
I
asking?
just want
Password.
I don't want to like
The thing is that you cannot crack. Maybe what I ask is that can you crack hashing?
no, I don't want to go right as we go. So if they take hash,
You're not the one actually. They don't create hashing. Hashing just like your. I know. What I'm trying to say is that they don't take hashing from there to another place. No. Just like your ID was automatically generated, you connect your app or your password to like probably a hashing what's it? There's an hashing generator. Automatically generates hashing for each password. So it's not as if you will like attach hashing to this particular password or to this particular app. No. So there's something they call MD5. So let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So if I go to MD5, so let's check out MD5 hash generator, right? So if I come here now, very good. Let me even show you. Now if I come here now and let us generate hashing. So if I let me put Paul in this place. Paul. Now let us generate a particular hash for Paul, right? As you can see that it automatically just give me something.
But like he has not on board this hash.
Yes. You understand? Now, if I want to sign in with any password now called Paul, this is how it's going to be. On this platform, on another platform, if I try to get another hashing, Paul might give me another thing entirely.
If they
so what I'm saying that they want to get this password of Paul. Now you know why it is not going to work? Because with this same password, okay, I actually know what you're trying to do.
That means on this other, your own password hash is different. So if they take this one, it won't match.
It's not going to match. Hashing is it's not something you can reverse. It's not reverse. You hashed it, you cannot reverse. Encryption on the other hand is saying you're just relocking it.
Are you saying that if we're not
that means each app generates
they've actually connected it to maybe a particular hashing generator that it just generates random numbers. So those numbers are not exactly. So if hackers try to take it and maybe they want to like hack it, it's not going to work. You understand? The only way those numbers work is if you still try to like as the only one that knows your password now, Abby. So if you now try to put what password of Paul, right, in another place, it's not automatically okay. This is what you're trying to do. It regenerates that particular hash or hash string. Yes, different. They don't generate the same thing. Let me generate Paul again so you see. Kind of like C13E1, Abby. We generate it again so you see what I'm saying. So okay, let's go back. Yeah, I'm listening.
What is somebody typing Paul?
Yes. Yeah. No. It's not going to work. So is it? So let us try. It has been asked. It has been asked. This is what it's giving you now. It has been asked. So let us check Paul. So as you can see, it's giving you. Now, the thing is that this is MD5, right? Now, each of these people, they have like, how do I put it? They have their own hash tools, right? So when I say hash tools, so for instance, Twitter might be using another kind of hashing tool. They might even hash it themselves, create their own logic to hash. Google might be using another hashing tool. YouTube might be using another hashing tool. So it's not going to give you the same answer. You're never going to have the same answer. Even if you try to try the same thing twice, some people might have the same password. It's possible for people to have the same password. Now, you're saying that those people that have the same password, they are hashing, are they the same? No. You understand it now? So that's the just generates random
Before
number.
you actually
Yes, it's the password you are going to put. But because you've hashed on that platform before, it automatically knows that okay, this particular password belongs to this hashtag. You understand it now? That's what hashing is. So that is why in this place we actually did not need to input what? To input this password. Yes. What's the question? I don't think something
Like, I think we are keep like that my name is that my name
what is this? What is this? Good. So in this place, what is it going to be? What is this? Email is equal to what?
Yes, also this where
The UID is not. Are you getting the UID from the input tag, from the HTML tag? The UID is what auto-generated by Firebase already. So the UID, they call it UID. UID means unique ID or user ID. So the user ID is generated, meaning that each user has an ID. You understand? So that whenever that user is trying to, you automatically know okay, this user actually has some particular ID. So it means that okay, this user is different from this user. Two users can be bearing the same name. Paul. In fact, I can be Paul Ifeoluwaliba. Another person can be Paul Ifeoluwaliba. It's very, very possible. How do you now differentiate between those two people? ID. If you do not have an ID, what happens is that it might just class, okay, this person might be same. Right? So automatically you have two IDs. Because those two people cannot have the same email. It's not possible. They cannot have the same username. Username. But let's say they cannot have the same email. You understand? Only one email. So now that email is not going to be what's generating a new ID for each user. So that they are what's different. Now, that is why we have an object. This object here is to get the user ID and then what's the email. Now they call something user.uid, user.email. Do you get it now? That's why we're getting it. Now, after that, we're not going to log it to the console. And then after logging it, we should be able to see it here, which we have. So if you come back here now, okay, you should see it. You understand? You should be able to see it here. So I'm going to come here, you should be able to see it. The console.log also is here. This is it. Here. Now we are not done with the logic yet. The logic is that after you've gotten it, you should send it to the database, save it to the database. After it has now been saved to the database, you should not take it to login.html. You understand it now? That is the full logic. That's the total logic. Again, it has to be saved to the database. If that don't be saved to the database, it's not going to take it to login.html. You understand it now? That is the next thing that we're going to implement now. And how are we going to implement that? Two things. You need to understand that you need to be able to use your what's the name? Your what's the name? What's the name? Docs. Your docs. Now, is everybody here? If you are now we're done with creating an account, right? We're not really done. We're actually going to come back to it. I'm going to just open it here. So let's say Firebase docs. Now, we're done with creating an account. What do we want to do after creating this account? We want to make sure that this account is stored on where? On Firebase database, isn't it? Now, that takes me to my next one, which is going to be Firestore. This is not stored though. This is just authentication. Authentication means that this is just the user is authenticated, yes. But what's your question? Right. I'm coming. Now, what I'm saying is that this is not that has not stored it yet. It's just to show that okay, you have to do that. Now you need to be able to. Now, this right here now, if you want to like, how do I explain it? So now you need to have like a database whereby if I'm coming back to, I can easily get my what? I can easily pull data from that database and then log in. This right here is just to show you that okay, this person, this what's the name? These are the users on my account. You just know the users, right? But that database is actually the one storing user details. Now, why is it storing the user details? So that if you want to log in again, you have a place to go to fetch those user details. You cannot fetch user details from authentication. No. You fetch user details from where? From Firebase or Firestore. Now, how do you get it? Now you go to build, and then you see what? Firestore database, which is this. So you click on Firestore database. Now, if you click on Firestore database, you have something like this. Now, I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to allow some of you. I thought some of you you've not been working on anything. Please start working on it. Now, I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to give us time to write this code, and then come back later on